Welcome to the Draft Professor, everybody. I am joined today with Monty. Monty, this is your first Draft Professor podcast. I want to say welcome to the channel. How are you doing on this fine Monday evening?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Jim? Thanks for having me.
Oh, I am doing well, and any day that I can talk about my draft simulator is a good day for me.
There you go.
Um,
That sounds like a cool one.
Yeah. So I was talking with Monty a little bit backstage. Monty hasn't used the Draft Professor Simulator before. I am going to be talking through it while Monty is making picks for the New York Football Giants. And Monty, like we do have a couple things in common, right? So I'm a Bills fan, so I'm intimately familiar with Joe Schoen and Brian
Yep.
Dable. Obviously, Dable got let go, but what are your initial thoughts on what Joe Schoen needs to do for the Giants in the upcoming draft?
Yeah, I mean, look, we need a lot right now. I do think we have pieces. I think we have playmakers. We have like good building blocks, but we need to add depth. We need to build a team. We see, now we have John Harbaugh, so I think that's important to getting guys that feel like it fit, who work for him, and really building this out to add guys who can be part of the Harbaugh culture.
Awesome. So we are just going to dive right in. So we're going to do a New York Giants, and we're going to do this thing here called the First Round Fanatic Challenge.
Okay.
So a First Round Fanatic Challenge is 5 unique one-round drafts, and it will not let Monty pick the same player twice. So he has to basically identify the 5 best players that could be New York Giants. So right now, the draft is going Mendoza, Bain, Reese, Tate. Any surprises in the first 4 picks there?
No, I could definitely see it going that way. I mean, I think Mendoza seems to be the easy favorite for one. Ruben Bain and Alvaro Reese definitely could argue the best 2 players in the draft. And, Titans need to surround Cam Ward, mix up my CW quarterbacks with wide receiver help.
Yep. And the simulator is interactive. We've done one of these podcasts for 3 of the 4 teams that are picking ahead of you. Okay. So meaning that, the Titans fans that use the simulator, Tate's their guy if Bain or Reese are off the board. The Jets, if Mendoza's not there, the Jets people on the simulator like Ruben Bain. Right. And then the Raiders fans are obviously like, why would it be anybody but Mendoza?
Yeah.
So if the board falls like this, who is BPA for you right now?
So I think the guy that a lot of Giants fans have their eye on right now, understand he doesn't necessarily fit the positional value mark, but Caleb Downs, I think, makes a lot of sense for the New York Giants now, especially now that you brought in John Harbaugh. I mean, you look at these Baltimore trees, the safeties they've had. I mean, John Harbaugh coming in the first place with Ed Reed there, what they've done with Kyle Hamilton, what his brother's done with Derwin James, what our Jannard Wilson, our coach, has done with Jamal Adams when he was over at the Jets, and you can go on and on. There's a lot of these safeties who truly, I do think, are more of a premium position in these types of defenses. And, I do, have some questions about how elite Caleb Downs can be as a coverage safety, just because I don't think you've seen enough of him like single high and things like that. But I do know that the way that especially the Ravens used Kyle Hamilton last year, I think he would thrive in. Giants have one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. This dude is a leader. I think you need a guy on this side of the ball is just a dog. You kind of had that this year, Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterable. You kind of started to see some what seemed to be with a couple of dogs who can kind of like really bring up the team. Add that to the defensive side, helps with the running game. I think he would just be the picture perfect fit.
Okay, so I picked Caleb Downs for you. Okay, the simulator immediately starts a second mock. But this time it sniped Caleb Downs from you.
Okay.
So if Caleb Downs is not available and Mendoza, Tate, and Bain are off the board, Who do you think is BPA for the Giants?
So it's a tough question. I mean, Arvo Reese obviously pops off the screen. But, do the Giants go that route with, they have Kayvon Thibodeau on the roster. They could easily move off him and you could add another in replacement of their edge. But Arvo Reese really kind of fits more of that. He fits kind of what you did last year with your first round pick. So it's like, do you want another kind of like smaller guy? Do you want the hybrid? So I'm maybe not BPA, but I think what I would think was a player I'm very high on. I think is ranked higher for me based off of the scoring system we did. And that's Francis Mauigoa. I'm a big fan of Francis Mauigoa. I think that we'll see what the arm length comes in at. I think a lot of people are getting confused with Francisco, his brother, and just using his side. Maybe he does have a similar size arm, but if they can come in over 33 inches, I'll feel pretty good about it. I think he has the athleticism and the ability to stick out a tackle. If not, I still think he'd be a phenomenal guard, but I really do. When I watch him, I see a guy who can stick out a tackle. The Giants have a free agent, Jermaine Illuminor. I hope they bring him back, but he has David Mulugeta. They're going to go out and try to get a bag in free agency. And Harbaugh loves to run the ball. And, as great as a pass protector as Jermaine Illuminor is, he is not much of a run blocker. So I think Francis Mauigoa could be, that mauler you have on that side of the ball. I think he's a very, very good player.
Okay. So the third mock starts. Downs and Maui Noah are not available. Mendoza's here. Bain is here.
So
BPA if you can't take Maui Noah or Downs.
So it's funny because we kind of talked about this with Arvo Reese a little bit, but I feel a little bit differently about potentially taking a guy like Ruben Bain do I do Arvo Reese, because you look at a guy who's 6'3", 275 pounds. If you, let's say, trade a Kayvon Thibodeau, who, on the last year of his deal, I think that would make some sense. You would suddenly add a guy who can really play more of like a 4-eye for you, maybe a little bit of 3-tech. I think when you run a base 3-4, John Wilson does run more of nickel most of the time, but you can still find a spot for him on this line. I think that opens you up to get a guy who's more of a run defender than your other edges, and then also I think you could find a way to fit them all on the field. That you look back at the Giants back in the day when they lined Justin Tuck on the inside for their NASCAR packages. I think you could see it along those lines. And to me, Ruben Bain is the best player in this draft, bar none, the best player in this draft. I know again a little bit of shorter arms, but I see a guy who has so much power, so much speed, and for a guy who's 275 pounds, his bend is ridiculous. I think he's really has shown the ability to be a technician, and I also think when you watch him get later into games, this guy gets better as the game goes along. When you're in the fourth quarter, he's a closer. So I think he's the best player in the draft. If he fell to the Giants, despite that being a position that we're strong at, I think that his body type would be helpful on this line still.
Okay. So Downs, Maui Noah, Bain were your first three picks.
Yep.
And they're all sniped before your pick. So yes, Fernando Mendoza didn't get taken. So if you can't take Bain, Downs, Maui Noah, either because the Giants traded back a little bit or the draft just got really crazy, what would you do if this is your board? Who is your BPA?
So as I look at this, there's one thing that's interesting is when the idea that Todd Monken was going to come to the Giants, I pretty much wrote off the idea that we're going to get wide receiver round one, because I do think that I think there's a good chance they bring back Wan'Dale Robinson. And if not, I've heard they may have some interest in Alex Pearson free agency. We'll see what happens. But assuming that they addressed it in free agency, they had two wide receivers. Todd Monken was a guy who, ran a lot of 12-man personnel, but he's going to the Browns now. And we don't know what we're going off OC, but, you're interviewing guys like Cliff Kingsbury, for example, and he runs a lot of 11 and 10-man personnel. And suddenly you're like, okay, like maybe there is a role for us to play three wide receivers most of the time. So even when we do that, you can look at here now, and I think you are sitting right at the top of the board here. You see Carnell Tate and Jordan Tyson, and then so who do you pick here? I personally have a little bit higher of a grade on Jordan Tyson, but with Carnell Tate, I actually think that he complements Malik Neighbors more. I think his body type could be helpful. I mean, he has a big body. He's a contested catch guy, and he's just a total technician. And also, I'll be honest with you, as a Giants fan, I've seen a lot of wide receiver injuries, and Jordan Tyson's injury history, it makes me a little bit nervous. As much as I do think he has the true difference maker ceiling, I think he fits more of what like maybe a Malik Neighbors is. He can fit more of that prototype, but I think Carnell Tate can be a really high end number 2. And I think that would be more helpful to us. And to me, he's a really high floor player. So I think I'm going to go with Carnell Tate here. I think just a very fluid technician, big body, ridiculous contested catch rate. So I'm going to go with him.
Okay. So in the 5th and final mock of the first round challenge, Downs, Maui Noah, Bain, and it won't let you pick Tate. So even though Tate wasn't drafted, you won't find Tate anywhere in the player list. Okay. You can't take any of those 4 guys. What do you think the Giants do?
So there's 2 players sticking out to me. I've talked about both of them at this point, and I've picked over them. That would be Jordan Tyson. That'd be Arvo Reese. Jordan Tyson, I just went over it. I think that, for a lot of the reasons that I said, where, I think you're going to run 3 wide receivers. I think this is a guy who could be like deadly. If he is what he can be, and you have him on either side with Malik Neighbors, you could have like 2 top 10 wide receivers, and that would be scary. And for a guy like Jackson Dart, that'd be great for his development. You definitely want to consider, getting a guy that can help with his development. But I'll be honest with you, Arvo Reese is very tempting here. I think you could argue, a lot of people would say he's the best player in the draft. He may have not ranked there for me, but he can go very high. He had a great season, and he's similar to Abdul Carter in some ways with that wide receiver linebacker hybrid. I am very tempted, and I think I'm going to do it, to take Arvo Reese because, man, I just have imagine what a creative guy like Denard Wilson can do with a guy like Arvo Reese and a guy like Abdul Carter and even Brian Burns, where, you can just simulate this pressure. You can have a guy dropping back on any downs. All those guys can play decently well in cover. I was actually really impressed by how well Brian Burns played off ball when they did play him there this year. And you have just guys who are elite pass rushers coming from everywhere, and you don't know when they're coming, where they're coming. You can line, you could do a set where you could put you could go ahead and put Abdul Carter and Arvo Reese, line them both up at off-ball linebackers and send them on blitz. You could run a double mug. Like you could do some scary things with those guys. And, you just add another ridiculous athlete to that team, another great football player. Maybe you do see him as an off-ball linebacker because that is a big need. So, Arvo Reese, I think, is, just taking the best player available there.
Okay. So Caleb Downs, Francis Maui Noah, Ruben Bain, Carnell Tate, Arvo Reese. So basically, the 5 best players for the Giants either went to Miami or Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you saw those looked like the most talented teams in college football this year. Indiana, best coach, yeah. But you look at Ohio State and you look at Miami. I mean, Miami made the national championship for a reason.
Okay, so I also want to say, so when Monty, he and I messaged about the podcast, he had no idea what he was walking into.
Yeah.
So Monty, you talked through that really well. Hopefully that wasn't too painful.
No, I could have gone into a little bit more detail even, but I'm just trying to talk more of the fit for the Giants.
Oh, to me, this is great content. I designed the simulator so that people could talk about decisions while they're doing mocks, and you get to stack the decisions. Yeah. So what we're going to do next is this thing down here at the bottom called Fanatic Mode. and we're going to bump it up to 8.
Okay.
Okay. So we have round set to 5. Fanatic mode is set to 8, and we're going to do a Giants mock. So that means that Monty is going to do 8 consecutive Giants mocks. He's going to make a pick in round 1, round 2, round 4, and round 5. The Giants don't have a 3rd round pick.
Mm-hmm.
The simulator will not let Monty select the same player twice. So we're going to get to listen to 32 players that Monty likes that are going to fix the New York Football Giants.
Man, can't lean on your favorite late round pick as a crutch. You got to really dig into it. So, all right, let's see how we do.
So, if you've ever used a simulator where the same player is always there in round 4, right? When I saw that on other simulators, I said, "Well, I can design something that's better."
Yeah, I like that. It keeps you honest.
So, first round went Mendoza, Bain, Reese, Tate. And you picked Caleb Downs last time in this situation, correct?
Yeah, okay. So let's go ahead and run it back.
We'll go Caleb Downs round 1. What are you thinking you're going to look for in round 2?
You know, it's going to depend on a lot what happens in free agency, but I think that offensive line is a spot that I'd really like to look at here. So, can we scroll down? Let's see. All right. Can we go all interior line? There we go. Ooh, I see a guy who's interesting to me. Can you show me the all real quick just so I can take a look at who's sitting there at top if there's any? Ooh, that is good. All right. So I think
also don't I'm gonna just advise that you and anybody watching, the player boards in this simulator move based upon mock draft behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So feel free, like if there's a specific player you're looking for, I might turn on the position filter and see if they're there.
Yeah.
Right. So because if you skip picking Akeem Mesidor, he's dropped to player 120. Right. So that means no Giants person has probably picked Mesidor recently.
Sure.
No Giants mock drafter. Right. So don't believe the player boards. They're going to move based upon who people pick in mock drafts.
Sure. That makes sense. All right. So, I mean, Elijah Sherratt is interesting to me, but I think you caught my eye with somebody. Ooh, actually, and then Lee Hunter is also very interesting. I mean, one of my buddies put me on to him, and he is a phenomenal run defender. And if you could, get him up as a more of a pass rusher, he definitely looks like he has athleticism. He dominated. But the other guy I was looking at too was Jennings Dunker. Again, another guy who impressed people at the Senior Bowl with his play and just with his mullet and mustache. People were impressed with him. That is a tough one. I'm going to go with Jennings Dunker here. As much as I do think that Lee Hunter would be a great fit for this team and somebody who could really help our run defense, I feel like I helped that a little bit by taking Caleb Downs already. And I want to get some guys to help out Jackson Dart and help him going forward. I feel like he fits more of that Harbaugh. He was, he's the rugged mauler. He can play tackle, he can play guard. We'll see where he ends up in the NFL, but this dude will create running lanes for you in a team, a head coach that always likes to run the football. I think he needs to get better as a pass protector. There's definitely some deficiencies there, but I mean, I think some of that would be fixed moving inside so he ends up there, but I absolutely love his physicality.
Okay, so now we're at the Giants pick at 105 overall. Okay. You've gone Downs, Dunker, safety, interior offensive line. What do you think you're looking for in round 4? And again, I encourage you, if you know what you're looking for, like at wide receiver, who are like the round 4 wide receivers that you like, or if you're looking tight end, is there a position that you're looking for here?
wide receiver, tight end. You actually nailed two of them. And then I would say D-line and linebacker are two other ones. So
Endry, Xavier Harris, York Thompson. So Brennan Thompson is there.
Some interesting guys.
And I'm going to do these positions one at a time.
Yeah, let's do one at a time. Okay. Just take a quick look through them.
So wide receiver, where are you on Rivers and Thompson? Are they day 3 for you?
Yeah, I think those guys. I'm borderline day 2, day 3. I have some guys I kind of like as more later round targets, and I think.
And at tight end, do you have day 2 grades on Endries or Raritan?
I see the guy. I think I'm going to take here, and the guy that I would like here, and that's Eli Stowers. I love Eli Stowers, and I'll tell you, I think that Eli Stowers is going to go a lot higher than people think right now. I think he's going to absolutely blow up the combine. He is one of the most athletic tight ends I've personally seen. He is so fluid. He has just such natural athleticism. I was trying to look up, like, this guy was a 5-star quarterback, and I was trying to look up some of his high school numbers, and like, I don't have them off the top of my head, but he had some crazy testing numbers. I remember just as like an 18-year-old high school guy. And I think that Eli Stowers would fit Jackson Dart really perfectly, because you look at that offense he played in with Diego Pavia as a guy who, extended and tried to get outside the pocket and make plays a lot, kind of what Jackson Dart does. He was so good at working back to the quarterback and, trying to, work with him on these scramble drills and be a target for him. I think that's, the safety blanket, the guy who's good after the catch. I think that's exactly what Jackson Dart needs.
Okay, and Stowers was player 159. So I was looking at this number right here. He was 159 when we took him. So the simulator is interactive. And basically what that means is when you pick somebody, they move up. Mm-hmm. And if you skip picking players, they're going to move down slightly. So when we're done with this, I'll show you how high Stowers got with a 4th round pick. We are at the Giants' 5th round pick. And I'm confirming if they have 1 or 2 5th round picks. They only have 1. So this is your last pick of this mock. If you go safety, interior offensive line, tight end, is there a positional need that you would focus on here in round 5?
Yeah, I mean, I would really like to come away with an off-ball linebacker. I think that, we'll see what we do in free agency, but seeing if there's anybody who I've really been high on. There's a couple guys. Harold Perkins, a heck of a
Aiden player. Fisher fell to round 5.
Aiden Fisher, that's another good one. Let me see D-line as well.
Sure.
Great. Ooh. Yeah. You know what? Because I like him and I think I could talk about him a little bit more. I'm going to take Rashawn Benny. I think that he is a very good player. I think he's a very good run defender. I wasn't able to get Lee Hunter earlier, but I think with Rashawn Benny, you get a guy who can play a 3-tech for you and I think he does have some pass rush upside, but I think right away can be a guy who can be a high-end run stopper for you. And I think that's what the Giants need. They've been so horrible as a run defense team. And I think adding a guy like Rashawn Benny to that team would be a good quality day 3 ad who could, help you there.
Okay. So I had to do some funny coding here. Mm-hmm. So you took Caleb Downs in round 1. The Giants are the 5th pick, and we said we're doing 8 mocks for Fanatic Mode. Uh-huh. So this mock and the next mock, you're not going to see Caleb Downs, whoever you take first here, and whoever you take first next time. You won't see him sniped before you in round 1, but all your other favorite players will get sniped. So if you can't select Caleb Downs in round 1, who is BPA for you for the Giants?
I say let's go Francis Mauigoa again. I mean, I think I can knock it right off. Get a guy to help protect Jackson Dart. He feels like a Harbaugh for me. I love him as a pass protector and a run defender.
Okay, so Giants are picking 37. You go 8 less than that, and you see that Jennings Dunker has been sniped before your second round pick.
So that's okay. I got Mauigoa now.
Right. So if you're interested in like Peyton, Abney, Iheanacho, Johnson, Howell, McDonald, more than likely those guys are going to drop in one of the next several mocks. But who's your BPA if you can't take Dunker and you've already taken Maui? No.
Can you scroll down a little bit? I could take a Lee Hunter here. Let's see. Can you show me the wide receivers as a whole?
Yep.
Okay. Ooh. Wow, Jacoby Lanes. I might be able to look at him. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll take Lee Hunter this time. So I mean, Lee Hunter, he is somebody who we did review in our interior defensive line episode. Again, one of my friends recommended to me, and he's a strong, physical, imposing run defender. He can just absolutely absorb double teams. Which when you have a guy next to him like Dexter Lawrence, who's double teamed at like the highest rate in the NFL, even in a down season, was ridiculous double team rates. You're either going to give Lee Hunter one-on-ones or you're going to open up Dexter Lawrence. You can't double block both of them, and it's going to open up the edges. And so, at the very least, I think that he will fill a lot of holes for you. I think he has really good athleticism for a guy his size. And I think that's somebody who shows more of a upside as a pass rusher, even if you haven't seen it yet. Where I think, especially if you get him one-on-one more, where he can really start to shine there.
Okay. Maui Noah Hunter rounds 1 and 2. You're in round 4. You haven't taken a safety yet. You haven't taken a linebacker yet.
Let me see wide receivers.
And you also haven't taken a wide receiver
yet. See if any of those guys from earlier fell. I guess they don't have a round 3, so that makes it hard. Show me linebackers.
So York is there. Again, this is a round 4 linebacker board. Red Murdoch is there.
Mm-hmm.
Aiden Fisher is probably still here too. Yep, Aiden Fisher is available in round 4. Bryce Betcher, Harold Perkins, Kyle Lewis.
Let's see. I'm trying to think where else I want to look. Let's take a look at safety. Could be interesting.
Zakee Wheatley fell to round 4.
Yep.
Genesis Smith fell to round 4. Bishop Fitzgerald fell to round 4.
Interesting. Let's go up again. I want to see some other positions. Let's see where I want to go. Can you show me corner? We could really use a corner as well.
Malik Muhammad dropped. Thaddeus Dixon dropped. Masses, I think this is about Masses' range. Stoops and Hodge, I think this is their range. Dalen Everett, maybe.
I would say let's go with Malik Muhammad here. I think he had a very good season for Texas this year. I think he's a guy who could help with this cornerback room. This was a guy who had really solid numbers. Can play on more of the corner. He can play on the outside. He's not stuck with a slot corner where I think that you have some depth. And we'll see if we bring back Cordell Flott.
Good. So Maui Noah Hunter, Malik Muhammad. You have one more pick here. We're looking at a round 5 board.
Okay. Let's see if any of the guys. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and one of my sleeper wide receivers here. I would like you to take Bryce Lance for me. Another guy that one of my buddies put me on to. Bryce Lance, he had some crazy numbers at North Dakota State this year. I mean, this is a guy who is the brother of Trey Lance. You know, he's a big body guy, 6'3", 209 pounds. And, you know, you look back at a guy, I'm not calling him Puka Nacua by any means, but if you look at a guy, you know, one of the things that, you know, for a lot of people who kind of saw Puka Nacua as a potential breakout player and a sleeper in that draft was the yards per route run is something I really like to look at with these guys. And, you know, Bryce Lance, 3.57 yards per route run. And I think he's a really savvy player. I think that he can play big, and I think you need a big wide receiver on this team to fit this wide receiver room.
Yep. So some people take Bryce Lance in round 3. Everybody else talks about him in rounds 4 or 5. Draft professor Anthony Russo has been talking about Bryce Lance literally since May. So we hear a lot about Bryce Lance on this channel. We've been hearing it since May, and it's just going to keep escalating, you know, from now until draft day.
Yeah.
So the simulator starts the 3rd mock. It won't let you choose Maui Noah. It won't let you choose downs, even though they haven't been drafted. It's fanatic mode. They've been removed from the pick list for you.
Sure.
So if you can't take Maui Noah or downs, what player are you targeting?
Yeah, I mean, Ruben Bain was a guy I took 4, but he's gone. Oliver Reese is a guy I took 4, but he's gone. And you kind of left me with the one guy I talked about who I didn't take when we did the original one. And, that's Jordan Tyson. And Jordan Tyson, again, I think he's the guy who has the highest upside of this class from wide receivers. I mean, he just creates instant space as a wide receiver. I mean, his twitchiness and the way he can separate is, really, really good. And I think he has exceptional agility, deceptive footwork, and ability to manipulate defenders with tempo and body control. I really like him, but the injuries definitely are part of it that worries me. And I just also, I think that this team needs more of a bigger body wide receiver if I had to choose.
Okay. So in round 2, Dunker and Hunter have been sniped before your pick 37. Keith Abney was not previously available. He just dropped. What do you think you do if you can't take Hunter or Dunker in round 2?
Keith Abney's definitely an intriguing one. Can you scroll down a little bit just to see if I have anybody else who's really popping off the board to me? Ooh, Anthony Hill Jr. is an interesting one. Can you show me the other linebackers? I want to see if just who's there, because I haven't been able to really get one.
Hill and Trotter. Mm-hmm. And again, people love this linebacker class, but just to give you an idea, in round 1, CJ Allen is going to Dallas.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So CJ Allen isn't getting out of round 1 right now because the Dallas people want a linebacker.
Yeah. So I think I am going to go with Anthony Hill Jr. I probably don't take him this high in most of the mocks I do. I mostly try to go, I guess, CJ Allen a lot of times, but I really would like to add a day 1 linebacker to this group. And I do like Anthony Hill Jr. He's a really athletic linebacker. He has speed and body control to give him like true sideline to sideline range. I think he's flash coverage upside. We need to see more of that, but it's the ability to play in space. He doesn't necessarily lack like the block destruction skills. He has inconsistencies as far as that goes. Not really like a stack and shed linebacker, but I do think profiles well as like a will linebacker and a schemes that can kind of free him up and let him play. So, set him up with the right linebacker. I think that could be a really good fit here. And I think he could fit that Denard Wilson defense where you could ask him to just play with his hair on fire and go after the quarterback at times.
Okay, so I love this mock. Jordan Tyson, Anthony Hill. You haven't addressed offensive line yet.
Yeah, that would be a nice one to get here.
Are you looking tackle, guard, or both?
Both. Let me look at interior line. Because I saw some guys.
So Josh Thompson, Bo Stevens, J.C. Davis.
I think I know who I want to take, but I just want to see who else is here. Okay.
Bowery dropped. And again, so this pick 105, so round 4. Bowery dropped. Oh, and the reason why I say he dropped, a lot of people have a day 2 on him.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like to try, the way we just for a record, what we do it over here at He's a Giant, which is our podcast, is we start out and we do the top 5 players at each position. So we work through that. Now we're going to start working through more at the Giants' positions of need and trying to get deeper and deeper. So my knowledge outside of just being a college football fan start to fall off, but I do have a guy here that I really like. Can you go back to interior line for me? Bo Stevens is a guy I really like. That Iowa offensive line was a damn good one this year. I mean, he had a phenomenal season. I think he didn't let up a single sack this year. I don't think he let up a single QB hit this year. I mean, that entire Iowa offensive line was ridiculous. He's a very good pass protector. He's a good run defender. This is a guy who has a good body. He was 6'5", 315 pounds. I love basically every single Iowa eligible offensive lineman this year. They're all phenomenal to me.
Okay. So Tyson, Hill, Stevens, this is your round 5 pick. So we're looking for value in round 5. You've only taken one defensive player. You've looked at defensive backs, most of the other mocks. Any other positions that you're thinking?
So 2 that I'm maybe able to get some value at is maybe D-line. D-line's one that intrigues me. Double up on Iowa, go Aaron Graves. Let's see what else is
Aaron Graves in round 5 feels like pretty good value.
It does feel like pretty good value. The other one I want to just look at, and that may be the way I go. Can you show me the tight ends? I just, with how much Stowers fell, I'm just trying to see if any of my other crushes are here.
So, I think, for example, Endries round 5, Royer round 5, Raridan or Jolie round 5, Bentley, some people have a day 2 grade on. Mm-hmm. So I think there's really good value here in the tight end board.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go with Graves. Yeah, okay. Aaron Graves, very, very solid football player. Again, similar logic what I used before. I think if you can just get a guy who into this interior defensive line group who can help and he can just develop and play. We really haven't invested enough into that room. We got Darius Alexander last year, who I was a big fan of. And he had some pass rush ability, but I think we need to add more to that. I think that's a big reason our run defense has been so poor.
Okay, so we're doing the 4th mock in fanatic mode. You've taken Caleb Downs, Francis Maui-Noa, Jordan Tyson in round 1. It won't let you take any of those 3 players. So if the Giants trade down and those 3 guys are off the board, who's BPA?
Let's see. This gets interesting.
Is it Jeremiah Love?
It might be. And I'm not as high in Jeremiah Love as some other people. I think he's a great player. Don't get me wrong. I just don't necessarily see him in the Bijan Robinson tier of running backs. But I do think he's kind of that next tier. And I think Jeremiah Love, although is not my preference, and I am a little bit scarred from going Saquon Barkley 2 overall, the team that wasn't quite ready. I think this team is a little bit more ready, and I think the way that Harbaugh likes to run the ball, I think Jeremiah Love at this point, especially if you traded back and you get a player of his value, I think I'd go there and just add a difference maker to help Jackson Dart. You still have Cam Scadaboo to run with there, be more of your power guy. Jeremiah Love actually reminds me a little bit of Saquon. He's not quite that athlete or that player, but just a style. He is a guy who can really just extend plays and hit those home runs for you. He's a phenomenal football player.
Okay, so Jeremiah Love round 1. Dunker, Hunter, Hill, sniped before your pick at 37.
Okay.
Do you have, for example, do you have Josiah Trotter graded high enough to take him at 37?
I love Josiah Trotter. I'm a West Virginia alum, and he was over there for a little bit. I'm a big fan of Trotter, but I don't know if I would take him this high. No.
Would you take AJ Halsey at 37?
I don't think I would, but Emmanuel McNeil Warren is a guy who I would consider. I think he has some crazy upside. I think was it James Jeremiah? I think actually had him in his first round in his first mock out there. Yep. Yeah, so, he's a guy who's really intriguing. Let's see. Can you show me the wide receivers?
Yep.
Because I would like always keep an eye.
Bella's available. Brazel, Bernard. So for me, the two best receivers I would take here are either Bernard or Bell. And that would be Chris Bell. But that's me, and my team isn't the Giants.
Yeah.
So, but who are you thinking? We can look around the board for BPA. Like Abney is available.
Abney's interesting.
Monroe Freeling is available at the top. Right now, we're at the top of round 2. Edge, Zion Young, Malachi Lawrence are available. Tight end, Delpin Trigg. I don't think that either of those guys are worthy of 37.
No, I agree.
Interior offensive line. Where are you on, would you take Chase Besantis here, or you don't think he's a really good fit?
I would consider him here. There's just other guys that I would probably look at better value. Let's go back to wide receiver. I have a guy that I'm interested in here. Double dip a little bit for Jackson Dart. And so I'm not as big of a Chris Bell guy, but he, especially coming off the ACL injury, I thought he should have gone back to school. Chris Brazel, I love the upside, but I watch him. I see a guy who, later in the games, I feel like he's kind of dogging it, and that kind of worries me. But, if we go back to the first page here, there's one guy that jumps off to me, and that's Jacoby Lane. Jacoby Lane, I think, is, he fits more of that upside that Brazel has, where they're both kind of just freak athletes, but he's just such a big-bodied, savvy wide receiver he's so smooth for a guy his size, and his leaping ability. He matches that leaping ability with his ability to box out defenders to really make him like a deadly red zone and contested catch guy. I think he has some high upside. I even saw reported out there that he has a vertical inch of, I think it was 46 inches. Absolutely insane if that's true. We'll see if he jumps that. But Jacoby Lane is somebody who I think could be a very, very good player. I think one of the highest upsides in this draft if he can get it all together.
So Jeremiah loved Jacoby Lane. Jackson Dart is loving the draft already.
Yep.
You haven't addressed offensive line. Is this offensive line or a different position in round 4?
I mean, I would have no problem with keeping up and going offensive line here, but I also think that there's a world where you're like, all right, let's get back to it. We need some help on defense too. So let's use in the secondary right now, because that's a spot of need for sure. Okay, there's some names.
And one other thing I'll point out: when you're in fanatic mode, for the most part, you're looking for one more player drop, right? So each time you do it, one more player drop, you should see. So, and the reason why I say that is that if we look at safety, I'm fully expecting Zakee Wheatley to still be there, right? So Wheatley's going to be there until we pick him. So in whatever the sequence of players that you're drafting are, Wheatley is always dropping.
Yeah.
So if you take him in round 4, your call, over other players. Same thing, Bishop Fitzgerald, same thing, Genesis Smith.
Interesting spot. Can you show me D-line as well? So that's always a position I'd like to address too. And there's some names here as well. Oh, the Godfather, Dante Corleone. He didn't have as good of a year as he's had in the past, but man, he does fit that run stuffer, doesn't he? I mean, This is a guy who I believe there's a number out there that like he had the highest, I think, run defense grade from PFF since like what was it, Micah Parsons at one point. That was like his like junior or sophomore year. And this guy's been, I feel like he's been in college football forever. And he has not had the years he's had in past, but he is a really good run stopper. No, let's take Dante Corleone here.
Okay, so you've helped your defense. So
Really
you've got Jeremiah Love, Jacoby Lane, Dante Corleone. What are you thinking about here in round 5?
I would like to come away with a offensive lineman probably. I probably wouldn't want to go much longer with offensive line, to be honest with you.
Okay. So J.C. Davis, I think. Right now, my instinct is he's best available. Who else do you like?
So I'm curious. I'm not seeing here. So either he's rated really low or it wasn't taken. But I assume Logan Jones is off the board here.
Yeah, Logan Jones is usually going like round 3. Yeah, so there he is to Denver.
Good to know. I thought PFF's got him way too low, so he's a crutch that I lean on. I love Logan Jones for the record.
So everything on this simulator is user driven.
Yeah.
So you can ignore the site big board.
Yeah.
What we're doing here is establishing, a Giants board. And just as more people use the simulator, that board will add some randomness. And then, so Randy here in the chat. So Randy is a draft professor who's a Patriots fan. So he's been watching Emil Wagner and Jeremiah Wright.
Okay. He was looking good. I haven't got a chance to get my Jeremiah Wright film in, but he did look, from what I saw, is that he was doing really well. Another guy who's interesting to me is the center from Indiana, and Pat Coogan. I do think that he had a really good year this year. I thought he helped, kind of set that offensive line there in Indiana. You know what? I will take the suggestion though. Let's go with the Auburn offensive lineman, and let's bring him in. Yeah.
Okay. This is a great lesson. So he's 318. He will not be 318 when we're done.
No.
Okay. So that was Love, Lane, Corleone, Wright. And it's nice to do these with somebody that knows the roster, because when I've done Giants mocks, they look nothing like this.
Yeah.
So, okay.
No, they have a lot of needs though.
Okay. So now the simulator makes sure that Jeremiah Love is taken off the board 4 picks before your pick.
Okay.
So that meant the Carnell Tate dropped. So it's Carnell Tate versus the field. Is there another player that you'd like that would make the Giants better over Carnell Tate? Knowing that you can't take Downs, you can't take Maui Noah, and you can't take Tyson.
I feel pretty good about Carnell Tate dropping here. So I'll go ahead and take him for all the reasons I described before. And I think that, I haven't loved the options. Like, I don't think he's going to make it to the second round, but man, I was really hoping Denzel Boston would make it there at one point. I love Denzel Boston. But I don't think he will, and he hasn't made it in any of these. So I'm just going to go ahead and get that wide receiver taken care of.
Okay. So here's basically the way to measure it. So Boston is being taken at pick 24, and that is more than 8 away from 37. So in this specific mode, I don't think we would be able to take Boston unless we chose to take him in round 1.
Yeah. That's what it seems.
Now, the Saints draft professor, the person that did this for the Saints, it's Drew Collins. Drew is going to take Boston at 8 to the Saints. So if Tyson isn't there and Tate isn't there, there's a good chance in this simulator that Boston is going to the Saints at 8.
Wow.
So kind of thing. So Drew likes Boston just like you do. Yeah. Okay. So in round 2, Dunker, Hunter, Hill, and Lane all sniped before your pick here.
Show me corners, because I'm really tempted to take Keith Abney here, but I just want to make sure that there's no one else who fell. No, I think I'm going to go with Keith Abney here. I mean, again with who the Giants brought in with Denard Wilson. Denard Wilson runs a lot of press, and sometimes that's press man, and sometimes that's press match. And this is a guy who has great mirror footwork. He can really just run with these wide receivers, and he doesn't get tricked. He kind of just is with them all along. He has really good zone awareness. So, like I said, it's not always press man. Sometimes it's press match, and he'll drop into his zone coverage. I think this is a guy that Denard Wilson, who is a DB guy at heart, I think would love.
Okay. So we've taken Tate, Abney. We're into the Giants' round 4 pick. You've been looking at line on both sides. So defensive line, I'm not seeing anybody dropping. So it's the same defensive line board that we've been looking at.
Yep.
Grayson Halton here would be interesting. Round 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've also been looking at offensive line.
Yeah.
So Josh Thompson dropped around 4. I think Thompson's been here a few times. There's some draft professors that have a day 2 grade on Thompson.
I'll have to look at him more, but
we have been on Thompson since the summer.
Okay.
So he's a Northwestern transfer to LSU. And he's got a little bit of a nasty streak. So that's a hardball offensive lineman if I've ever seen.
Let's roll with it too. I wonder. So Thompson, he's from Northwestern, and he's draft eligible, which probably means he was coached by my guy Kurt Anderson. He's over at Boston College, but he's one of my favorite offensive line coaches in football. He was over at Northwestern for a while. He coached Skoronski. He coached who was it? The Chargers tackle. I'm blanking.
And you'll like him because he also has some flexibility. He has reps at tackle. So he's going to probably be a guard at the NFL level. But if you needed him to get you out of a game at tackle, he probably could.
Yeah, some nastiness there. Okay, I got to look him up. I mean, I've obviously just casually, but I haven't looked at his tape strong enough. So, yeah, I like the sound of him. I love a good nasty offensive lineman. Hence taking Dunker where I did.
Carnell Tate, Keith Abney, Josh Thompson. We're at the round 5 pick. Any tight ends here that are screaming there's no way they should be here in round 5?
I mean, Jack Andrews probably the one guy who I'd consider that here.
Okay.
But Stowers and Triggs are those are the guys, and Triggs obviously here he's very high in this board. Those are the 2 guys that I'm really hoping if we get one, we have a shot at. Especially if Triggs, again, I don't think I'd take him as high. In the 3rd round, it might be where I'd look at if we had it. But he is a guy who, he played with Jackson Dart at USC and Ole Miss, so there is a connection there.
Yep. And Deontay Lawson dropped. I don't know that he was here in round 5 before.
Yeah. Deontay Lawson's an interesting one. Yeah, I don't remember him being here necessarily either. You know what? Let's go ahead and take Deontay Lawson.
Bishop Fitzgerald is also there in round 5.
Yeah. Oh, Bishop Fitzgerald is another. Hang on. Let's wait a second. Bishop Fitzgerald is a good pick here in round 5. Yeah, let's go with Bishop Fitzgerald. Out of safety, I think that's a big thing for Denard Wilson in his room. And he's just a high IQ player, man. He's versatile. I think he'd be helpful. His ability, he can operate in so many different alignments. He just reads the routes before they even come to him. This is a guy who I really liked watching his tape. And I think he's really good in zone-heavy schemes, requiring awareness in tight spaces. He's not the most explosive guy, but I do think he's going to be a guy who can kind of help out all over.
Okay, so Jeremiah Love, Carnell Tate, sniped before the Giants pick at 5th overall. Who is BPA? Is it Reese or is it somebody that's part of the field?
I think I'm gonna stick kind of what I was going earlier. I think I'm gonna take Arvell Reese. I mean, hey, it doesn't make the most sense for the Giants, that's for sure. But I think you could create a pretty scary defense with our Arvell Reese with Brian Burns and Abdul Carter.
Okay. So, and again, sometimes when you use fanatic mode, you're going to get off the rails a little bit. So we're doing the 6th of the 8 mocks. So Arvell Reese round 1, Elijah Surratt has dropped to the Giants pick. So that would imply that Dunker, Hunter, Hill, Lane, Abney, all sniped before pick 37.
Yeah, I mean, Elijah Surratt is a guy I've considered taking a bunch of times now, and I just haven't yet. So let's go ahead and take him. Yeah, Elijah Surratt, I like, just a very, very technically sound wide receiver, really natural hands, a smooth route runner. He creates a separation through timing and leverage rather than just pure athleticism. Those are the kind of guys I like. I am in love with the technicians at wide receiver, not necessarily the guy who just wins with that athleticism.
Okay, so then Reese Surratt rounds 1 and 2. We're going to the Giants pick in round 4. You've typically been looking at the lines or the DBs.
Yep.
Do you have a preference here?
I think I like line, and I've watched a little on him. What I've seen. Can you scroll back up? I need to continue to do more and get some more of my sleepers. But was it how you ever pronounce it? Faalio Famo? He's a guy that, from what I've seen, is been really, really impressive to me, and I think that he's a really good pick here.
Yep, and then tackle, possibly kicking into guard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love that pick. So that's Reese Surratt Fa'amo. We're going to the 5th round pick for the New York Giants. This is the 6th of the 8 mocks that we are doing using fanatic mode. So every pick is to be unique.
All right.
So there's probably, was this where the safeties were? So I think the safeties are available at the 4th round pick, but not necessarily the 5th. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so the safeties are all gone here.
And then let's see.
So Treydon Stukes and Preston Hodge in round 5. That looks pretty good. Thoughts on what position you might want to be targeting?
Let's see. I went Arvell Reese, so I had a guy I'm thinking about. I'll bring him up in another draft here. Can we look at running back real quick? And this is a position that we've looked at in the past, and I'd have to be the right guy, but there is a potential that you could look for more of a speedy guy here. You pull up running back.
Running back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet. So
Mike Washington available in round 5 looks like really good value to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see. Can you show me the corners?
I don't know if the Giants need a slot, but Stukes and Hodge sitting there in round 5 look really good.
Yeah, I mean, they have Andrew Phillips, who's a good player, but he has some coverage limitations. But
Chandler Rivers is also here in round 5.
Let's see. You know what? Can you go back to tight end for me?
Yep.
I think I'm going to go with Jack Endries here. I think that he would be a good ad for the Giants. Let's see what I had on him with my report, but I think that he's a really good route runner. I said he was really good against soft zone. He's a guy that I felt like was good after the catch. That's something I always look for in a tight end. I think that's important. I think he's a good grab here, and especially Harbaugh loves his tight ends.
Okay, so in round 1, Jeremiah Love is off the board. Carnell Tate is off the board. Arvell Reese is off the board. You can't take Downs. You can't take Have we already? Ruben Baines right there. So you can't take Downs, Tyson, and Maui Noah because you've already taken them. So if you can't take any of those 6 guys, who is BPA here?
You're making this hard for me now.
So my question is it Makai? To me, it's Makai Lemon or Sonny Styles against the field.
I think you brought up the guy to take, because I'll be honest with you, as much as I love, Carnell Tate, and as much as, I like Jordan Tyson, when I was watching the tape, again, some inherent bias here where, I like the technicians, I like the guys with the high, yards per route run and all that type of stuff. Makai Lennon was my favorite guy when I watched him. I understand he's more of a smaller guy. He's more of a pure slide. I do think he can play a bit more outside, but than people give him credit for. But, I mean, this is just a tough competitive football player. He has great technique, balance, ball skills. I mean, this guy just goes up and fights for a football. Savvy, turns short catches into extended gains, really good in open field, elite burst. And I'm going to just go ahead and take Makai Lemon because I think he's going to be a good football player no matter what, to be honest with you.
Okay, and I appreciate how you are embracing the spirit of the exercise.
Yeah.
So we do Makai Lemon round 1. You're going to get sniped 6 times before your round 2 pick. So the players that you liked in round 2 included Jennings Dunker, Lee Hunter, Anthony Hill Jr., Jacoby Lane, Keith Abney, Elijah Surratt, all sniped before your pick. Chris Johnson from San Diego State has fallen to the Giants at pick 37. So is this Chris Johnson against the field, or does a positional need trump the value and where you have Chris Johnson graded?
Chris Johnson was a guy that, it took me a little bit of while to even find tape on him because, a lot of these all 22 don't have, San Diego State film. But when I finally got around to it, man, the tape really did show up to kind of what you see with some of these grades and the stuff with him. I think he's a good football player. He's got the size for the position. I think that he's a guy who a little bit more of a zone guy in my opinion, but he has the fluid hips and the ability to run man. I think he's a good tackler. I think he can operate in that press. Let's go Chris Johnson.
Okay. So you've gone wide receiver corner. So that's Makai Lemon, Chris Johnson.
I'd be pretty happy with at least the positional lineup of those two.
Is there so you've typically been looking at line. I think every single mock you've done, you've addressed offensive line and possibly both lines on both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking that you'll be looking for as the 4th round pick for the Giants comes up?
Yeah, it's hard for me not to consider offensive line when I go through these, especially kind of how it started. It's just something that I feel like you should always be adding to here. It's something I want to be coming away from with every draft. Let's see.
Where are you on Trey Zune or Matthew Golban?
I haven't gotten too much into either of those yet. What do you have on them?
So, other than the fact that center is a devalued position, there are draft professors that have Golban on day 2. Okay. Most have him day 3, but there are some that like him enough for day 2. Similar with Zune. Obviously, a lot of flexibility with Zune because he played offensive tackle at Texas A&M, probably projecting inside at the NFL level. Mm-hmm. And we're in round 4 here. So I think that you would be taking the players where they're graded.
Yeah, one guy I do like. What do you think of? I saw he was there, Zune's teammate, Amarj Reed Adams. Where are you in the past? You and the draft professors have him.
So the draft professors are a little bit lower on Reed Adams.
Okay.
Last year, one of the guys was screaming for him on day 2, and this year is like somebody else draft him. I don't want him anymore.
Yeah, I am. I need to get more into it, but I do like what I see. I do think he's a big mauler.
But the last 2 days, I've done this exercise. There's somebody
Mhm.
for the Miami Dolphins that likes Armaj Reed Adams, and one of the other people, I'm trying to remember what team, they were taking Armaj Reed Adams in round 3. So if you like him, you are not alone. But those other people were like, I'm just less familiar with them because they just came on to do some mock drafts with us.
Yeah, let's do Reed Adams. I need to get more into this. I'll regret my February opinions by March and April, but I think that's where I am right now.
Love it. So that's Lemon, Chris Johnson, Armaj Reed Adams. And then when you're going into round 5 here, is there a place on the board where you're going to try to address a positional need? You're looking for value on the board?
I think it's good to just trying to find value here. But there was a guy that I want to get into one of these picks here. So I don't see anybody popping off right now that I feel like I have to take. Let's see. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and take a guy. Can you go ahead and go to linebackers and scroll way down? Yeah, go to second page. All right. I know he's dropped off a lot of people's boards and he hasn't been quite the player he was in past years, but I'm betting on the upside of Harold Perkins. You know exactly where I was going. I mean, he is just a special athletic talent. He may be a little bit of a tweener with his size, but I think that he has the athleticism to show you a little bit in coverage. I think he can be scary on him as a blitzer. I think this is a guy that you could play as a wheel linebacker or like a hybrid linebacker edge, and I think that he's a guy that these more creative coordinators can do something with.
Okay, so we're doing this is the 8th and final mock.
Okay.
So Love, Tate, Reese, Lemon, sniped. Can't take Maui Noah, can't take Downs, can't take Tyson. Is it Ruben Bain? I mean, you said he was the number 1 player on your board, right?
I finally got my guy. I know that it's not the position the Giants should be going, but I love Ruben Bain. He's just such a good football player, man. It's his mix between power, athleticism, bendiness, his hands, how much better he gets into the games. I love Ruben Bain.
Okay. And then we're at the round 2 pick. Now, in round 2, Dunker, Hunter, Hill, Lane, Abney, Surratt, Chris Johnson, all sniped. Thoughts on what you would do?
I'm always looking at offensive line. So that's an interesting spot here. I could go with Monroe Freeling. That's a thought here. Let's see.
I would definitely agree that I think Freeling is the highest graded offensive lineman available. He should be ahead of Besantis, for example. And no, keeping in mind that I think draft professors are higher on Besantis than consensus.
Okay.
So like Jerry Ostrowski, a retired NFL offensive lineman, said Besantis is round 1. Owen was podcasting with him. He came to round 1 on his own, evaluation as well. So they both loved Besantis. But Freeling, I think, because he plays a more important position, would likely be a notch higher.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Monroe Freeling because I do think that this is the guy that has the tools that you potentially develop into like a very high-end tackle. We'll see. I mean, he's got that big wingspan. He's got that athleticism ability. I think, we'll see who the Giants bring in as offensive coordinator, but if you bring guys more of like a zone running scheme, I think he's a guy who can, get out and pull on that and really get out into space and make plays. Again, if you let Jermaine Illuminor walk, I think you really have to prioritize that position. Even though I love Marcus Bowe, and I think Marcus Bowe could start for you next year at right tackle. I honestly do, but you got to have contingency plans.
Okay, so that's Bain, Freeling. We're going to the round 4 pick. Is there a round 4 wide receiver that you haven't had a chance to talk about?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I got a chance to talk
look at
about
that.
Bryce Lance. Oh, there
Look
you
who
go.
just dropped right to the top.
Malachi Fields. Yeah, I mean, heck, with how it's drafted, I mean, Malachi Fields felt like he fell right into my lap there, right? It felt like destiny. So
and there's a reason he's at the top of the board. He usually goes a lot earlier.
Yeah. let's go ahead and take Malachi Fields. If I'm correct, this is a guy who hasn't always played the wide receiver position. I think he was a quarterback in high school, but he has a great size, 6'4", 220 pounds. I think this is a guy who can win those contested catches. He's very good there. He understands leverage. I think this is a guy who, he's just a dog. That's kind of like I said, I've been looking for. And I think this is somebody who could fit that wide receiver room well. Like I said, I wanted that big body. You got that big body.
Okay, so we are at the round 5 pick for the Giants in the 8th and final mock. The simulator does a good job of sniping you. So what I mean by that is among the players that we've talked about at this pick include Harold Perkins, Jack Endries, Bishop Fitzgerald, Jeremiah Wright, Aaron Graves, Bryce Lance, Rayshon Benny, all snipe before your pick. So the simulator will figure out who you like, and it won't let you pick them, challenging you to do some unique mocks.
So, they even found a guy that I didn't pick, and I forgot about him, but I saw Lynn Barton. That's a guy I'm a little higher on than a lot of these boards, but he's gone too, man. So let's see.
Ironically, Randy in the chat is really high on Barton. Well, no, I don't want to say really high. I'm just going to say he likes him. When we graded him, we had him as a day 3. Randy has him late day 2.
Yeah.
So
I had him when I reviewed him last year. I had him probably about late day 2. I really like his athleticism, but he's not here. So let's keep looking. Let's see. We haven't done D-back yet, have we? No, we did.
No,
we haven't. So let's take a look. Take a look there. See if there's anybody that pops off the page.
So Domani Jackson in round 5. I mean, this is probably where he should go, but you don't get athletes like Domani Jackson in round 5 very often.
Yeah, and that's a place to bet on good athletes and whatnot. Let's see who else is here.
And then Chandler Rivers is also here in round 5.
That's a good pick. Let's see who has anybody else. Okay. All right. Let's see safeties too. Okay. Yeah, let's go back to corner. Yeah, let's go with Domani Jackson. I think you're right. I think at this point in the draft, I'll bet on guys, who sometimes get hurt and drop and things like that. But I'll also take shots on just good athletes. I mean, I think that's what you do here, and I think Domani Jackson was a good pick, and you bring him in with again, Jannard Wilson, a fantastic. Look at where he's been with. He was there when the Philadelphia Eagles had their best pass defense they ever had. He was there with the Ravens when they won the best pass defenses they've ever had. This is a guy who knows how to develop secondary guys. And I think you take a shot and you bring it in. We have a great coach there.
Okay. So the entire grading on this simulator is groupthink. So if you see a D, it pretty much means you were the first one to draft that player for the Giants in that round.
Okay.
So they hadn't moved up yet. So if you do this again with similar players, you're going to see much fewer D grades.
Sure.
Right. So that's how the grading works. If anybody cared. One other thing I'd like to show is if you go to the team needs and you give this page a minute to build, it's doing a little bit of calculating. And then once it builds the page, we're going to go to the Giants. And this is where you can see their player board.
Mm-hmm.
So the player boards for each team are the player lists that you see right here. And there's some players I want to look at. So like Harold Perkins, he was 300 when we took him. He moved up to 96.
Wow.
Wright was 318. He moved up to 92.
What about Stowers?
Yep, he was 159. Moved up to 77.
That's what I like to see.
Okay. Benny moved up to 93. So here's the significance of that. I'm going to do a 7-round Seattle mock. And the reason why I'm picking Seattle is they only have 4 picks, so I can make the picks quickly.
Sure.
And we're going to pay attention to who the Giants take when I'm mocking for Seattle.
Okay, I like that.
So in round 2,
we passed it. Yeah.
Giants took Abney.
Yeah. All right.
In round 1, they took Maui Noah.
I'm happy with that.
And there was no round 3 pick.
Yep.
I just saw a Giants pick scroll past. I didn't see who it was.
I think it was Skylar Bell, which
okay.
I love Skylar Bell. So it's funny that if that's the way it went, despite me not picking it. Let's see though.
Domani Jackson just went to the Giants in round 6, I think. Look at that.
Yep. There you go. Let's see. Like Muhammad.
That was another player you picked.
Yep.
Right. And they did have a 4th round pick.
Let's see, was I right? Skylar Bell.
I'm a big Skylar Bell. Yeah. Looking for any more Giants picks here in round 7. I don't see any.
Yeah, we have multiple 6, but we have no 7.
So, and the more you pick a player, the more they're going to move up. So, for example, Bell was like what, the 4th round pick, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if you pick players that are ranked lower than Bell enough, they'll move higher than Bell on the board.
That's very cool.
Right? But this essentially means that you're mock drafting against other people that are setting their boards up too.
Okay.
Right? That's the fundamental design of the simulator. So each team has their own player board. So when you do a Giants mock, you're affecting the Giants board, but not the other 31.
Yeah. Huh. That's cool. I like that.
Yep.
Cool.
So this lasted maybe a little bit longer than I expected. You were really thorough on how you talked through your picks. So Monty, man, I learned a lot listening to you.
Hey, happy to do it. And, you showed me a few players that you forced me to kind of have to pick through guys that I don't normally have to pick through. I usually have my go-tos.
Well, you see, and again, I've noticed that behavior when I used other simulators, and I said, if everything is based upon user behavior, the boards are going to move more than there's some randomness variables you can flip on with the simulator with this one, just like the other ones, to maybe see some different players drop. But ultimately, this is the end users have control. So if 32 fans are going in and they're experimenting, you're experimenting against pretty good mocks for the other 31 teams.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Yeah. And it's funny. It's like, even like guys that, I would lean on just aren't even falling there because the other guys, They know what they're talking about. They're drafting like Michael Taft's a guy I feel like I steal all the time on PFF, but he was gone every single time that I tried to take him there.
Yeah, and again, that's the idea. Like, use simulators because no algorithm is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And like one of my favorite comments is somebody says, well, such and such isn't realistic. They're simulators. None of them are realistic.
Yeah, it's true.
Right. Monty, do you want to take a minute, introduce yourself to everybody watching, let them know about your Giants podcast and the other content that you make?
Sure. So, so you guys know I'm Monty. You can see if you're watching here, it's you can find me on Twitter at MONTECRI5TO, Monte Cristo. And then I do a pod. He's a Giant pod. We go live every Wednesday night with my co-host Sal, who's Queens_guy on Twitter. We're always on there. We're always chatting it up with draft fans and Giants fans and whatnot. And now we're getting into the real draft season stuff. During the regular season, what we typically do every single year, mixed with just some Giants content, is we'll do the top 5 of basically every position group. We've made it through all that. And now we're going to, talk some Giants like we've been doing, but we're also going to do at least, we're going to try to do at least 2 player reviews for each draft. Sometimes we'll do an episode that's all player reviews. It just depends on what's going on that offseason. Try to do some mock drafts. Hey, now looks like we can break out the draft. Is that Professor mock draft? I can't wait to show this one to some of my friends on Twitter because I think they'll like it. Check us out. We just got over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, so we're pretty happy about that.
Awesome. Well, again, I want to say thank you for coming on. So again, I reached out, just so everybody knows, I reached out to Monty, and he had no idea what he was walking into until 5 minutes before the podcast. So first of all, you were a huge sport for doing that. I hope you had fun.
Yeah, it was a good time.
And I want to let everybody know the Draft Professor, we are live every Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. So we have a 7 p.m. show. It'll be another mock draft similar to this. 9 p.m. tonight, I believe Drew and Hank are going through their cornerback boards. Every Friday, Draft Professor does live 3-round mocks. We do live 3-round mocks. We will have 32 people picking for 32 teams. If you would like to draft for your team, go to @NFL Draft Fanatic, no I in Fanatic on X, and the pinned post is the mock draft sign up. So just drop a reply in, and I will get in touch with you and make sure that you can draft for your team. Those are by far the most watched podcasts that Draft Professor has every week. So if you want to draft for your team, give us stop by on Friday. In addition to that, Draft Professor is announcing that we are doing Epic Mock 26. That is 32 people, 7 rounds. And that is going to be April 9th, 10th, and 11th. So that should be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So Epic Mock 26, we will have 33 podcasts going. There will be a podcast for each team. And then we will have the main Draft Professor feed. And it is the largest internet mock draft in the universe. So it's a lot of fun. In addition to that, if you want to do what Monty just did, just drop me a message. Again, go to @NFL Draft Fanatic, send me a DM, tag me in a tweet, and we would love to have you. And PW, because I think we are doing one of these. I want to say, is it Commanders? I think I scheduled one with him with Commanders because PW also was in the 32-person mock last Friday, I believe, if memory serves me correctly. So it's good to see some familiar faces dropping by. Brandon, you're here every day. Love seeing you. Randy, you're here every day. Great to see you. So I appreciate seeing some of the regulars stop by. Thank you very much. And we will sign off by saying for the 110 podcasters at the Draft Professor, for Monty, myself, thank you so much for watching. We will see you on a podcast again in about 30 minutes.